Hi, today we will look at a really nice RC mini crawler beginner option, the Austar AX8560 from Austar Hobby. This is the upgrade part 1, and this is a sneak peek of how it looks after this first upgrade. But we will also do performance upgrades that will make this a much better crawler. Let's look at the stock weight distribution. From the box, the total weight is 576 grams, and it's quite back heavy, which is not optimal when doing crawling. Left-right is perfect with 50% on each side. Let's see how steep a slope that the car can handle. Close to 50 degrees. Now let's see how high slide slope it can handle. Around 42 degrees. The turning radius out of the box is not good. 101 centimeters or 39.8 inches is really bad. Fortunately, there is an easy fix that I will show later. Max speed test shows a whopping 3.87 kilometers per hour or 2.4 miles per hour. Having a trailer hitch is really cool, but it is in the way if you're doing crawling. So here I will show how to remove it. There are 2 Phillips screws that you can access over the back axle with some effort. A nice accessory that I will save for some later project. Now let's look at the steering max angle that is quite limited out of the box. But there is a simple fix to improve this quite a lot by removing these 2 servo arm blocking pins. Take a sharp side cutting plier and cut off the 2 blocking pins. Now let's see how much the front wheel turning angle improved. Here you can see one of the small pins that was removed. The servo is really fast when not under load, and it seems to be at least plus minus 45 degrees of max wheel rotation. Here I'm testing the improved turning radius. It has reduced from 101 to 63 centimeters or 24.8 inches, which is an improvement of 37%. The truck has a nice orange paint, but the wheels do not look good with this shiny metallic paint. But I think that we can improve this and add more visible details to the body by adding some weathering effect. First get a glass or cup with some water and then add brown acrylic paint as a base color. Mix it well. Then you can add some darker paint after your liking to get some more shading effect in the recesses when this washed out paint dries. You can also make a more red wash to give it more of a rust effect. Here I add a drop of hand dishwash to lower the water surface tension to make it easier for the wash to get into the cavities to add shades where you want them. Let's start with the wheels. Make sure that you get the paint wash into all the cavities, and you can add a lot of it as it will thin out on the flat surfaces and gather in the cavities if you let gravity do the work when drying. So maybe paint one side of the truck at a time and let it dry for a couple of minutes with the wheel sides horizontally to the ground before you paint the second side. I now start adding wash on the paint job, and you could put on a lot, as you will dry off the excess so that you get most of the paint in the recesses to add the shading on the details where the paint remains. After drying one side of the truck, you continue with adding wash to the remaining sides of the body and repeat the drying. I added a second layer of washes on the wheels as they still looked too clean after the first layer of wash. Here is the final result where the wheels looks less shiny and toned down, and the details in the body like door gaps and hinges are more visible. The wheels still looked kind of plastic, but later in this video I painted them matte black. This is a simple test of the climbing ability out of the box, and the front wheel grip is not very good on steep climbs as the truck is quite back heavy. I also tried to just power up, but it just can't climb this slippery obstacle. I will later show you how to improve the climbing capability of this truck by adding some more weight and moving it forward. As I wasn't happy with the weathering of the wheels, I removed them to spray paint them black. Here you can see the hex wheel hub with holes for the hex axle pin that make sure that the wheels can't slip on the wheel axle. To paint the wheels, you first need to sand them so that the spray paint gets something to stick on. You spray paint by starting to spray away from the wheels and then sweep across them as you continue to spray. And you do this sweep spraying at some different angles to make sure that you cover the whole wheel side. Here is how the matte black paint looks after drying for 30 minutes. Here you can see me putting back the wheel hub and then add the hub pin back into the hole in the axle, which is a little bit tricky. And then you make sure you match the hub hole with the hub pin when you mount the wheel back on the axle. And you can feel if it's in place, if you can rotate the wheel without rotating the axle. And then there is the single nut to hold it in place. Now let's fix the weight distribution issue, and we start this by removing the spare wheel in the back. This spare wheel is also not a full size, so I don't like that you can see that it's smaller, so I'm happy to remove it. I personally also don't like the look of the spare tire mount, so I decided to also remove that. But as the wheel mount is part of the body back mount to the chassis, you will need to remove it for modification and then put it back. There are 3 small cross-headed screws inside the body holding this spare tire mount. First, I cut off this bar. Then I remove the wheel mount with the Dremel. I don't advise you to cut this way by holding the piece with your hand. You should mount it properly with a vise, as you can cut your fingers with this. After this, I mounted back the chassis holder with the 3 screws. Let's start with adding and moving weights forward in the truck to improve the crawling performance. By adding weights, in this case I use bolts, on the left side of the chassis, I could then move the battery forward to the right side and still have the truck balanced between left and right. I remove the battery to see how many bolts I need to match the weight of the battery. The battery is 42 grams and each bolt is about 10 grams, so I need to add 4 bolts on the left side. I used double-sided tape when doing this test, and later I added a more permanent mounting solution for the battery and the bolts. After initial measurements, I saw that I needed to add a 5th bolt to get the weight distribution correct between left and right side. Here I check the resulting weight distribution on each side. 313 grams on the front axle, 296 grams on the back axle, 380 grams on the right side, and 304 grams on the left side. So in total, 609 grams and 51% on the front axle and 49% of the weight on the back axle. Optimally, it should be closer to 60% in front and 40% in the back. Let's rerun the steep crawling test to find out if we can see some improvements. That is a noticeable improvement. This is the out-of-the-box look. The finish and details on the hard body is quite nice, but could be popping more. The wheels are obviously plastic and look cheap. This is how it looks after this first part of changes and the performance improvements. I added some decals to add more details, but be aware that the scale of the decals are all over the place. Now let's see how it performs in the wild. Here I will try the climbing capability of this truck. You can see that the maneuverability has improved a lot. The turning radius is much better. I first went for this steep climb. It's about 45 to 50 degrees. And it was really struggling. You can see that it almost falls over. So this is still something that it can't really handle. I hope that in future updates we will be able to climb this part of the rocks. So now I try to go around the hill instead and find a more technical road up the hill. This is one of my favorite places to do crawling. Perfect combination of technical obstacles and really steep climbing.
Thank you for watching the full video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video when we look at modifications that will improve the performance of this great truck.